Hello everyone. It is Josh. And we're going to play Password again. And I honestly didn't really think about it, but like it's kind of neat that the main menu opens with like a different character every time. Like last time it was Haas and the first time it was Dave, so also he's got a knife. Haas just like has a weapon. That's a little concerning. But you know, it's fine. There we go. All right. I must have forgotten to set an alarm, for when I woke up I had no idea what time it was. Still, I was thankful that my room had an additional bathroom, a comfort that I was somewhat familiar with given that my bedroom was like a home. Okay. My muscles felt sore, maybe just from being in an unfamiliar bed, but given I had my own shower, what better time to test it out? I didn't have one before bed, and there's something to be said about bathing regularly. Oh. Oh, I see. Okay. Once I was under the water, I realized how gross I felt. Maybe it was just from sitting around in a bus for hours, then wandering around an old house. Thankfully, I wasn't sharing a bed with anyone. But if that was going to happen, I guess the incentive to have a shower before would have been there. Okay. Oh, okay. Once I was dressed, I headed downstairs to breakfast, assuming everyone else was already there. Sure enough, I was the last to arrive. Much like dinner, there were trays out with typical breakfast things: a toast, eggs, bacon, cereal. Hotel buffet style is scaled down a little bit for just the 7 of us. Good morning. Morning, Roswell. I sat down with my breakfast, looking at what seemed to be a looking at what seemed to be distracting. Okay. The first thing I noticed was his notepad, open to a blank page with his pen poised to write something. It seemed like he was going to start writing before I noticed what was keeping him from doing so. His gaze pointed out 2 distinct groups sitting at the table. At the far end of the table was Ty and Sal, with Sal almost playing as a barrier between Tyson and the rest of us, sitting at the other end of the table. They weren't making conversation with one another, although Sal seemed much more eager to eat than Ty. Down our end of the table, Dean was making small talk with Orlando and Haas. But without fail, each of them would look over to the other 2. Things still tender from last night? A little bit, I think. No punches were thrown, but still. Was it really that bad? Roswell shot me a look as if expecting me to know the answer. Hopefully this blows over soon. It's going to make an awkward month if they keep going at this the whole time. I nod slowly, scratching the back of my head. We'd been here for 1 night, and if we were here for a whole month, infighting was going to get old fast. It'll probably be fine. There's enough space to keep them separated. Probably enough space to let us all do our own thing without stepping on any toes. Where does that leave you, though? Me? Well, I was going to finalize this thing and talk to Benson about stuff. Maybe look into what's around the mansion beyond the trees. What, in the forest? You were sleeping for most of the trip, but I know there's a river out there if we wanted to go swimming or fishing. Fishing maybe, but we have a pool for swimming. Okay, what about an old shack? What, like tool shed? Exciting. More like a cabin, you dummy. How do you even know about something like that anyway? Roswell seems taken aback, looking thoughtful, if confused for a moment before replying. I think it was my parents. It might have been Benson. I don't know. Tyson got up suddenly, seemingly done with his meal, and left. All eyes were on him as he did, but he didn't seem to care. As for Sal, he moved up to the rest of the group, but remained as stoic as ever. Orlando, for the most part, seemed the most relieved with Tyson's absence, but Dean was the first to speak. Well, I don't know what you guys are planning on today, but I want to check out that greenhouse out back, see what's growing in there. I'll go swimming, maybe, or gym downstairs. How's the activity shaping up, Roswell? Any chance to talk to Benson about it yet? Not yet. I hope to have something sorted soon, though. If I see him before you do, I'll mention it to see you. You to see him. Ugh, whatever. Oh, that's okay. I was going to wait here until he came to clean up after breakfast. Works for me. Gives me a chance to go for a walk and check out the rest of the place. Makes two of us. I'll see you guys around. So we're all splitting up? Seems like it. See everyone at the mealtime. Once everyone else has left, that just left Roswell and I. He still had his pen poised to write, but his page was still empty. Need a hand? Oh, it's all right. You just get some coffee in you before you go feral. Hey, I'm not that bad without coffee. You're pretty bad. Fine. I ate, drank in relative silence. The prospect of me getting coffee seemingly an inspiration for a novel by how much Roswell was suddenly jotting down. When I was done, I left the dining room to explore. Wait, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 options. There's only 6 people. Interesting. I know, like, the vault is, like, the main thing in the game, right? Like, that's how the whole, like, time shenanigans happens, right? If that's what I'm, like... I don't know. I remember hearing there was, like, time travel shit in this game, so I assume this, like, that. But Dean went to the greenhouse, so we're gonna do that. Dean mentioned this morning that he was going to check out the greenhouse. I hadn't been to a proper greenhouse before, so this was the perfect time to check it out. Dean, you in here? Yeah, just a sec. Well, hey. Good looking. Come to see me especially? Okay. Must be my lucky day. Sorta. You said you were checking out the greenhouse. Figured I'd come check it out too. Dean gestures to the pots and plants around him, wearing his trademark friendly smile. What do you think? It seems neat, I guess. I inhaled deep through my nose, enjoying how fresh and earthy everything smelled. Only neat? Okay, so it's pretty good. I like how it smells in here. You and your nose? But yeah, I suppose that you're right about that. It's very fresh in here. Although maybe don't go poking holes in the bags of fertilizer unless you want a different sort of smell assaulting you. I chuckle, shooting him a toothy grin. So you've been checking things out since breakfast? Here since breakfast? Yeah. Pretty much. There's a lot more out here than I assumed there would be. But I guess if someone's living here, it makes sense there'd be something. Pity we're only here for a month. Otherwise, I'd pitch in and grow something too. There's potting soil, trowels. Oh, okay. A cabinet with various seeds. Everything you need to get to work. If we were staying for longer, I'd probably try to grow something. Shame we're only here for... Okay, I thought I already read that. And like, okay. I was confused, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, what do you grow? Vegetables? Well... Dean shuffles uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. He snuck a look at me, flashing a warm, if fleeting smile before replying. I mean, I do like fresh vegetables, but flowers, probably. Flowers? When I questioned him, Dean shuffles on the spot. He looked uncomfortable and muttered something under his breath, something I couldn't quite catch. The next thing I know, he looked at me in the eyes, his tone serious. Can I be honest? Sure. He sighed, looking away. There's a great deal of things I'd like to grow. Trees, flowers, vegetables. Hell, growing a tree is to cut it down for lumber to make something for the house. Or flowers to bring home to my beloved. The moment he said it, I felt uncomfortable, knowing where his intentions were. I knew what he wanted, and I wanted to reciprocate. I genuinely did. But there were things that made that complicated. If things had gone a little differently, I probably would have jumped up and down at the prospect of getting flowers. Dean. Well, that'd be the best case scenario, of course. You never know, we might end up getting to have a proper date one of these days, and you'd be set. Make a clean getaway with all these fresh grown goods from your personal farmer. Dean's laughter seems genuine, but there is still that sting of sadness that followed. There were already things growing in here, so I can take care of them instead of growing something from a seed. Much faster, and honestly, probably for the best. Just in case there's a setup or something, don't want to go messing with that just in case. Yeah, probably a good idea. Don't want to get caught growing weed or something. You know, I'd probably could if I tried hard enough, and if there was something already started in here, although don't know much about it. Again, he laughed, and I fought the urge to ask him if he was serious or not. So, what are you doing now, Dave? Going to keep looking around? What makes you ask that? You seem to like wandering around. I'm pretty set here for the time being, so you hanging around here would be nice, but you're gonna get bored. I chuckled nervously. While the place seemed neat, he was right. I had no idea what most of the stuff in here, and I just didn't have the same passion for it Dean had. You've got me there, so I guess I'll see you later. Suits me. You stay out of trouble now. Dean wanders off behind some plants, humming to himself as he did so. As for me, I headed back into the mansion to figure out my next move. I guess I'll go in order then. Go see Sal at the pool? Probably. I wandered outside to search for the pool. I didn't have to look very hard, as the smell of chlorine and the sounds of splashing guided me towards a large fenced-off area at one end of the backyard. Sal was at one side of the fence, swimming laps, while I looked for a way in. He came over to wait by the side of the pool. I don't know how I missed the gate twice on my search, but once I found it, I wandered over to Sal. Oh. Okay. Took you long enough. Hey, the gate was hard to find. There's a few. I watched as Sal proceeded to point out each of the gates in turn. I felt stupid for not seeing them sooner, but it was easy to see them now that I knew what they looked like. Oh, neat. They're not hard to spot if you know what you're looking for. I guess it's just one of those things that I just haven't had much exposure to, you know, not having a pool at home at all. Do you not know how to swim? Nah, I know how to swim. I've been to the beach, and parents had me take lessons when I was a kid. The corners of Sal's mouth went up in a jeery smile. Lessons? Cute. Taking a breath in, he dove back into the pool and disappeared under the water. His silhouette moved as he swam from one end of the pool and back without coming up for air. When he came back, I could see him staring at me from underwater, expression focused if uncertain. With him swimming around so much, I wondered if I should have brought my own swim trunks, with how tempted it was looking. Soon enough, he continues his laps, leaving me to look around. There wasn't much to the pool itself, aside from it being large. There were storage lockers here, most of which were open. Shy of 2 seemed to be closed and locked. Aside from that, some spar pool gear, flippers, standard stuff, all of it was in its own locker behind a wired fence. I was back in front of the lockers checking things out. I realized Sal was standing behind me. Almost effortlessly, he picked me up by the waist and shifted me aside to get to the locker I had been standing in front of, pulling a key out of his speed. Why did you have that there? He opened one of the lockers. You have your own locker already? I needed a place to store my towel. Oh, right, that makes sense. You could take a different one. Keys are just sticking out if you ever decide to join me. Despite receiving a towel, he didn't retrieve his clothes, instead looking off somewhere and leaving his locker open. I looked inside, but to Sal, then to the locker again. Showers are this way. Oh, neat. Did you see they had flippers? Flippers, Sal. I don't need slippers. I don't need flippers if you can swim. But they're fun. Maybe they make you go fast. Sal shook his head, sighing. He closed the door to his locker and led the way over to what appears to be a stall, using a wooden privacy screen, similar to what you'd see at the beach. You can hold my. Can you hold my towel? Okay, sure, easy. Sal disappeared behind the screen and threw his towel over the top of the booth. I caught it, admitting how plush it was to touch, wondering if this was the same towel from one of the bathrooms inside. I heard the water start to run, and I call over to Sal. How was the water today? Good? Yes. His voice came through clear enough, so I guess he could hear me fine enough. And you were just doing laps? There was a grunt of affirmation before I heard the water turn off. I grimaced, wondering if I was just a poor conversationalist. That said, Sal was always sort of been this way as far as interactions. I realized that despite hearing the water turn off, Sal hadn't said anything. I'm gonna throw the towel over. In the same way that that it had been thrown over the first, I returned it the same way. The sound of it being snatched out of the air preceded the sound of a hurried dry. Thank you. Sal stepped out. He didn't usually smile, but he stepped past, patting me on the shoulder as we headed out to the deck chairs. Good weather for relaxing. Oh yeah, I don't think there was forecast any rain today, at least. Even if it rained, it'd be fine. I like the rain. I remember the day we met well. It'd been raining, and I'd noticed that Sal had been standing outside in it for a solid hour. At least I thought he'd just forgotten his umbrella while he was waiting for the bus home. Nope, just really enjoyed the rain. So, I think I'm going to go check out the other parts of the house. Okay. I could have sworn there was a tinge of sadness in his voice, but he made no effort to stop me from going. Maybe he was lonely, but Sal hadn't struck me as someone wanting company all that often, if at all. Remember, the gate's over there. Laughing nervously, I backed away and left Sal to his own devices. It was hard to get a read on him, even on a good day, but that's just the kind of person he was. Rec room, I guess. It didn't take long wandering around the first floor to find the games room. It was one of the bigger rooms on the floor. The moment I step in, I almost jump up from the sudden cheering coming from Orlando, standing by a machine against the wall. High score! Woo! As I wandered closer, I saw that he was hunched over a pinball machine. A look of focus and joy spread across his face as he watched the ball move around inside the machine. While he finished his game, I had to look around the room. There was a bar in the corner, a few tables set up, and shy of the massive beanbags stacked neatly on the far wall, I would have assumed it was a casino. Pretty cool, huh? I looked across to Orlando, who spoke while he played with his eyes still tracking the ball. It's very, Haas said ritzy, but he's been saying that about the place in general. Orlando stepped back from the machine, having finished his game for the time being. He's not wrong, though. When I walk in, I thought I was about to get carded for wandering into a private casino. He then pointed out some more machines nearby against the wall that seemed to just be slot machines. Just as well, I don't have my ID on me. But you're not underage. Neither of us are anymore. Don't they need to do that anyway, just to be sure? Maybe, but even then, you've got a wallet on you, right? The next thing I saw was Orlando patting his pocket frantically. I must have left it in my room. Then you could have just gone to my room to get it, right? I'll go to your room to get it, right? Oh, I suppose that's true. Better tell Roswell, cause he's gonna get carded for that, for sure. Assuming they let him in at all, I somehow think a casino wouldn't want Roswell anywhere near the card tables. Between you forgetting your ID, Roswell not being allowed in, I'm sure you two would much rather go do something elsewhere anyway. Probably. The pair of them made quite the duo, which was probably why they ended up having a lot of fun running the school's anime club, as unpopular as it was the start of the year. So have you just been playing pinball, or have you tried anything else in here? Mostly pinball. Didn't want to try setting the other things up just yet. What other things? There's a whole bunch of game systems hooked up to the TV or projector sort of thing over there. I couldn't figure out how to turn it on, and when there's something I can pick up and play with, why bother? That, I guess. There are card tables too, as I'm sure you've seen. More for poker, I think, but that's more Roswell's thing. My sort of cards have hollow foil and set numbers. Yo, same Orlando, you know. Starting to like Orlando. Oh yeah, from booster packs. Then you make your own deck and win. Well, I prefer more to collect. Tried the competitive thing once, but well, you were there for that. At the convention, right? I didn't think that many played card games. You were there to look at the other things anyway. Still, it was nice. It was a nice adventure we took, huh? You just liked going in costume as the one card that was really hard. Yeah, it was a bit of fun, but I don't think many people really recognize the character. It was still fun though. Maybe next time Roswell will come. At the very least, it's good to know that there's something else I can do instead of hanging around the kitchen every day. Given how you made everyone's desserts last night, it's no surprise you spend a lot of time in the kitchen. Well, I tried with what I had to work with. Tyson and Haas were the hard ones. You did like yours though, right? Yeah, it had coffee, so I was happy. But now that I think about it, what? Are you open to requests? Depends. On what? The freezer is completely stockpiled with stuff, so we're fine for food, for a long while it seems. Some of the pantry, at least basic sundries, at least for basic sundries, as long as it's within the house and not overly complicated, there shouldn't be any problem. So, what about if I wanted pie? Pie, huh? Sure, pie is great. Pie should be easy enough. What flavor, though? I scratch my chin, thinking about it. Man, I feel like everyone's gonna, like, judge me for which one I choose, you know? I'm gonna pick cherry, though. No sooner had I said my preference than a broad grin broke out over Orlando's face, eyes wide and shimmer with delight. Cherry pie? For a moment I thought I'd said something wrong with how he was reacting, but he quickly grabbed my hand in his, happy as he could be. I love cherry pie! That's kind of gay. Oh, but why? The tartness, the color, the flavor, plus it was a favorite of my grandpa's, so all in all, good memories. It's probably the best pie there is. Have you not had it before? I shook my head, shrugging. That's criminal. Well, good thing you have picked cherry pie then. I laughed, backing up a little bit. Did you need help making it? No, I got it covered. The kitchen has a great oven. No need to breathe on anything this time. I don't think you needed to breathe on anything last time. I don't know what this word is. Breathe. Wow, I'm an idiot. If you have fire breath, why not try? Imagine how hard it'd be to know what you can do and can't use it for. But cooking? Grandpa seemed to think it was a neat idea to try, you know, make the most of your skills you have. I mean, it was still a little burnt in places, and undercooked in others, not my proudest moment. For much of the failings that experiment was, Orlando was typically on the mark with the more experimental pieces. He'd made the call to use his fire breath when the oven was playing up, and well, still gotta keep at it, right? I'm in just to make the things, and pie is just pie. Pie is pie. Yep. And something I'll also need to get started on later, so I'm going to get some more exploring done before I get stuck in the kitchen. Oh, you don't need to do it right away, honest. Don't worry, I want to make you pie. I really do. Oh, well, so I'll see you at dinner, I think. Just don't go sleeping through it if you go for a nap. I won't. Orlando bounded past me and out the door, leaving me alone in the room. It seemed like a fun place, but without anyone to share it with, there was little reason to stay. There was every chance I'd find myself back in here later, so for now, I left. Jimmu. I found myself heading towards the basement. Even as I walked down I could hear and smell someone down here. Groans and grunts, the clanking of the metal. It was only a matter of following the sounds until I came across another room down here, well lit and lined up with training equipment. 56, 56, 57. From the looks of things, Tyson was doing weights, laying on his back and pushing himself without assistance. I could have sworn it was dangerous to do stuff like this solo, but he seemed to be managing. Not that I really knew despite having a part-time job in a gym for a while. 58. He was struggling now, arms shaking as he was doing the reps. I'd stayed near the entrance. I'd hate to see him accidentally drop it over his chest. I don't think I'd be much help getting it off of him. 59. Then with a growl, he puts the weights back on its stand, flopping over the bench, panting hard, tongue lolling out of the side of his mouth. Working hard? What, Dave? How long have you been standing there anyway? Not long. What do you want? I was just checking in. Saw you were doing weights and, well, was probably not going to anymore. He rubs his arms, looking gingerly over at the machine. Might have pushed it a little hard this time. Added on too much weight or something. Arms are killing me already. Still, I love the feeling of you get after working out. The way my muscles feel. Don't do it as often as I want, but it makes me feel strong, yeah? I mean, we could probably find a way to get you a gym membership, if you want it at least. Ugh, pass. I can make do at home. You, on the other hand, could do with some exercise, pup. Hey, I'm not that, I poked on my belly, grimacing. I'm just fluffy, yeah? Besides, last time I worked out, I don't think I was doing something right. Ended up hurting all over for a couple days after. Don't remember you asking me for advice. Oh, no. I just went down to the park and kind of just wanted and tried to copy what they were doing. I knew as soon as I said that Ty was getting the wrong idea. Watching other guys, huh? Not like that, just a copy. Yeah, sure you were. I grumbled despite Ty thoroughly enjoying the implications of what I'd said. So, checked in enough yet? If all you're doing is weightlifting, I guess so. With the amount of noise you were making, it could have been anything. Didn't realize I was so loud. Guess I should be more careful in the future. Or, you know, close the door to the gym. Maybe I like to make a little noise. Besides, you could only hear me once you were down here, right? Well, yeah, I guess. That. And you smell. Tyson's gaze narrows. My nose twitches as I tilt my head slowly with a frown, uncertain of what he was looking at me like that for. You can smell me, huh? Yeah? And? My nose twitches again, and I thought over my reply. Man, I didn't... Man, already. Oh, no, you could use a shower. I like how you smell. God, like... I don't know, do we go for, like, an insult? Or do we make Dave horny? I'm gonna go for the insult. Fucking what? You could use a shower. I saw Tyson's eyes narrow further before he lifted his tank top slightly to give it a little sniff. Grumbling, he sighed out and shrugged. You try smelling like a flower after doing exercise. Not that you do much of it anyway. Hey, I do stuff. Yeah, then you're going to do yard work next time while I sit back with a lemonade. Tyson tosses the top of tussled the top of my head, messing up my fur. Don't stress it, pup. But I mean it. You flaked out on yard work again, just to take it easy, and I'll be driving a knuckle into your head until you apologize. I chuckled, embarrassed. Taking a step back, I figured it'd be best to perhaps change the topic of conversation. So what? Are you going to keep exercising, or are you done for the day? Haven't decided yet. Probably best that I stay out of the way of everyone else. We just don't get on. Don't think we ever will, right? I can't blame Ty for feeling that way. After all, for the lot of us, he had been a common link given the schools he'd been in the past. Didn't help that in nearly all of them he was kicked out for bad behavior. His reputation as a bully preceded him. Not to mention how he behaved last night. But somehow we ended up the unlikely friends given happenstance, really. Well, what? I guess I'll leave you to it. I'm gonna keep exploring. Alright, see ya, pup. I wandered out of the gym and headed back upstairs, leaving Tyson to figure out what he wanted to do on his own. Okay. Conservatory, museum. It's only Haas and Roswell left, right? Yeah. So I assume Haas is here. I wandered all the way up the stairs to where I'd run into Roswell and Haas the day before. As I entered, I saw Haas looking around, seemingly minding his own business. I swear I can read. I can't. Well, I'm just gonna like splash water everywhere, I guess. I can't drink either. Well, hey. Hey. What brings you up here? Just looking around. What? Not looking to spend some quality time with me instead? Oh, you know, if you just wanted some quality time with Senpai, you just had to ask. That's not, come on, Dave. Relax a little. It's what I'm doing, after all. In here? Why not? Conservatories are great. Like, greenhouses for people. So you can be outside without being outside? Hey, there's more to it than that. How often do you get to be in a conservatory anyway? Outside that board game, never. Reasonable. That's honestly what I was thinking this entire time. Even in a board game, I don't think that counts. You're talking about the one where you solve the murder of the butler, right? Was it even the butler that was killed? You know, it's been so long. Since I've played last, I don't remember. Thinking back, ever since I played it, I wondered what a conservatory actually was. I guess now I know. Generally, it's just a posh sitting room. I mean, it seems kind of redundant when you've got a place this big. Not to mention a backyard being as big as it is. Right, you'd use this room for what exactly? Reading? Could read, yeah. But wouldn't that be impossible when night fell? With all the windows, I mean? Good thing they have lights then, I guess. But wouldn't people be able to see in? Normally, yeah. But who's going to be looking in? The forest around the mansion means that the closest neighbors would need a telescope at best. I guess you're right. I kinda like it though. I'll probably do my morning stretches in here as opposed in my bedroom. Stretches, you mean? Yoga. Yoga, huh? Yeah, that's the stretchy one. As opposed to the dancey one? You mean Zumba? Maybe? You think I'd be dancing that early in the morning? You could. Could, but that'd be kind of mean to the rest of you guys if I started blasting music that early, right? Right. Haas stretched looking over me and shooting a happy smile. You know, you should join me sometime, honestly. What, really? Sure, couldn't hurt. Why, we're worried that I'd be getting you up at dawn. A little. Alright, then I'll hold off getting up at dawn and I'll hold off getting up at dawn if I'm dragging you along. Normally I'm up really early, real early, but I'm willing to make an exception. Maybe Sal would be a better choice. He's up early too. He is, might join him if he's doing something like a morning jog. Might want to reconsider if he's going to the pool. Why's that? That chlorine and this fur? You know the damage that could do? Oh, but wouldn't a shower help with that? Obviously, but drying off first only to take a shower later seems a bit double-handed. Double handling, don't you think? Oh, no, there's a shower right by the pool itself. You could just take a shower there. Well, that's all right then. I might go to see what morning routine he's got planned out then. Haas looked off to the side, stretching again. Still, despite me being on holiday, gotta keep that practice up just in case. So if you're ever interested in helping me with lines, just let me know. Sure, but what happens now? I'll probably stick around here and lounge about. Check the acoustics of the room, maybe get a cat nap in yourself. I don't really know yet. Probably keep wandering around for a bit longer. Well, in any case, I guess I'll see you later. I nodded to Haas before heading back down, figuring I'll continue looking about elsewhere. Museum. I find myself at the top floor again, following the sound of someone humming. The room was large, reminiscent of a study on steroids, or perhaps a trophy room, or even a library that had more than just books. Roswell was already wandering around, running his hands over some of the books, looking them over before he noticed me. Oh, Dave! I didn't see you there. Roswell wanders over, happy as could be. This place is great. They have books on nearly everything you could ask for. Really? Really? Even a few on ghosts and summoning demons. I hadn't had a proper look, but it's an interesting collection, that's for sure. You're telling me. What sort of place has books like that? Roswell snickers to himself, shaking his head. No ordinary mansion, that's for sure. You didn't really sell our souls for this, right? Like, that was only to mess with Orlando. I promise, nothing like that. Roswell unwraps a piece of candy and throws it into his mouth, smiling to himself. I had a look at all those books. Books look sketchy at best. Almost like made as a joke. It wouldn't surprise me if some of these were made just to mess with people. Still what? If they're just to mess with people, they can't be that dangerous, could they? I guarantee that there's a very, very low chance of just picking up one of these books and doing any real harm, unless they decide to bludgeon it with you from behind. Roswell, not funny. I think it was actually, but no one's barbaric enough to commit murder with one of these books. They aren't nearly heavy enough. I followed as Roswell pointed out some of the books at the top shelf of one of the bookcases. Only really heavy ones are those encyclopedias up there. It'd be a lot more work to get them down just to hit someone over the head with them. You could do better with like a knife or something. Once again, I felt uneasy about how casually Roswell was talking about how one could off someone else with what was in this room. Roswell must have noticed as he hurriedly dug up around his pockets for another piece of saltwater taffy and handed it to me. Sorry, too much detail? Just, maybe a little. Don't worry, these sort of things are all so low in probability of happening, you'd have a better chance of winning the lottery. My attention went to a suit of armor in the corner, a large sword resting underneath its hand on the pommel. What about something like that? As I pointed out, Roswell follows my gaze and nods slowly. It's possible. I mean, borrowing the sword, that sword seems easier than climbing a ladder to get a heavy book, right? The way Roswell seems to thoroughly consider the option was almost worrying. His brow was furrowed and he scratched his chin before flashing me a polite smile. Well, maybe. Have you ever used the sword before? Ones like those can be kind of weighty. Not to mention you'd have a hard time prying it away from the armor. What makes you say that? Well, because it's a display. Chances are the sword is tied down to something, or in some way attached to stop it from falling over. Normally, someone wearing an armor would just push it down, you know, to keep it standing up like that. I guess that makes sense. So, Roswell, anything else deadly in this room I should know about? Roswell laughs at my attempt to lighten the mood, or I found myself smiling too. Deadly? No. Although, if you're ever looking for information, or even just neat things to look at, this is the room. I want to keep exploring this room. Still plenty of things to do here, to check out. What about you? I guess I could keep looking around the mansion. I haven't really thought of that far ahead. Well, if you get bored, you'll know where to find me. Giving me a quick salute, Roswell wanders away, disappearing behind a bookcase while I turn around and left the room. We're going to the vault. Somehow, at some point, I find myself looking at a familiar-looking door. Something about the room seems weird, almost like if a haze lingered in the room. But as much as it felt off, my body dragged me across to the keypad next to the door. Maybe I should just try putting in something. Sure. Okay. It beeps an error, clearly not happy with what I'd put in. Not that I'd really know what the password was, but it was better than standing around doing nothing, right? Time seems to slip away from me. I wasn't sure how long I ended up standing there, but I could hear the dinner bell ring. I trudged up towards the dining room in a daze, as it turned out I was the last to arrive. Hey, Dave. I must have sat down next to Roswell when I entered. It was the closest chair to the door by far. Not only that, but the food was already on the table. How long was I on autopilot? You look wrecked. Are you all right? Yeah, I think so. My head felt cloudy, fuzzy, as if I was still awake. Still waking up. Well, if you're sure. I remember nodding, with my awareness slowly returning. Maybe I'm just tired. I know I was downstairs before, and I guess I just zoned out. Downstairs? In the gym? No, in the other room. The one with the large door. Oh yeah, that's the vault. I know the one you're talking about. The vault? Right, because of how the door looks. It even has a keypad next to it, wanting a password, so it's bound to have something important behind it. I tried a bunch of words though. Nothing. Not even password. All it did was beep at me. Why that? I don't even know if that was possible. Oh, I thought maybe it was like a computer, so Roswell looked away quickly, eyes bulging and looking worried. Wait, is that the password to your computer, Roswell? No, don't be silly. Just please maybe forget that, please. Roswell turned to the food in front of him and began eating. I did much the same, but I found myself thinking about what I'd seen so far. The pool looked inviting enough. At the very least, Sal seemed to enjoy it. Not to mention the fact that it seemed equipped with everything just shy of a minibar. The gaming room seemed fun, although I was worried as to how long Orlando perceived it. It wasn't really a casino, right? The gym is something I'm not sure I'll use, at least not to the extent Ty is likely going to use it. Good to know we had a place to work off some of the food that we were eating while we stayed here. If I wanted a place to relax, the conservatory seemed like a good place to go. Might have to fight Haas for some for the space, depending on how he was using it for rehearsals, though. There was a museum full of stuff that honestly I didn't expect from a place like this. Still, probably more things there for me if I was looking hard. The greenhouse was cool. It was almost like a private jungle, just given Dean's interest in the place where there was every likelihood he'd use the seclusion to well, he'd make use of it the most, especially if we were the only ones here. Once again, I zone out. The rest of the dinner is a blur. I vaguely remember someone saying goodnight, and I think I replied. Being alone in the dining room put me on edge. I don't know why, but maybe it was just the isolation. As my vision focused, I realized that I wasn't the only one in the room after all. Oh. The otter gave me an appraising stare, his gaze drilling into me in a mix of curiosity and concern. Are you well? You seem distracted. My mouth felt dry suddenly, and I quickly looked around. Yeah, I'm fine. Another long stretch of silence passed. Despite being on the opposite side of the table, it felt he was right next to me, and not in a good way. Just fine. Tired, maybe. I don't know. Then may I suggest you return to your room and retire for the night. The others have all done the same, and the mansion is far too large to be wandering around by oneself in the dead of night. Is it dangerous? There was no response, shy of the polite smile, but in a way that smile made me tense up more, making me feel a little uneasy. Okay, so I didn't mention this before, but like, why his legs so long? Like, but why though? I keep thinking this man is on stilts. Oh, I wouldn't say dangerous, Master Dave. No danger at all as long as everyone's in their bed. My gaze narrows, confused. How he phrased that seemed off. You make it sound like they're not all in their beds. Again, the polite smile returned. His voice was level and calm. At the very least, you aren't. Benson turned briskly on his heels and slowly wandered away. The moment he was out of sight, a chill ran up my spine. I made my way out of there as fast as my legs would take me until I was in my room. The moment I got to the other side of the door and closed it, I started to pace. I was just imagining things. It was all in my head, whatever it was I was feeling. This was just an unfamiliar house, and I hadn't settled in yet. Despite reinforcing this in my head, I yelped when I heard I heard a knocking on my door. I froze, staring at the door, unnerved by Benson's behavior downstairs. Gulping, I croaked out, "Come in?" Dean opened up the door and closed it shut behind me, eyes trained on me, and he looked irritated. Hey, Dean, You were out of it at dinner. What's wrong? Nothing at all. Dean clicked his cheeks before shaking his head. No, I know something's up. I've known you long enough to learn that much, Dave. Spill it. I shuffled uneasy on the spot, avoiding Dean's gaze. Does something feel off about this place to you? About Benson? The question seemed to take Dean aback. He blinked and seemed to think it over. While he was thinking, I continued. He's the only staff. We've seen no one else. Dean crossed the room and places a hand on my shoulder, waiting until I look up at him proper. Are you okay? Yeah, I think so. Why? Just rattled. Yeah. Dean kneed my shoulder, massaging the tension I had been holding in my neck. Maybe he wanted to do more or say something, but his eyes held fast to the spot on the floor nearby. All right. Well, if you want to talk, I'm just down the hall. I flashed him a wry smile. seeing if I could lighten the mood. Just talk. He stopped suddenly, looking back down me before meeting my smile with one of his own. Then he smiled back, and his smile grew into one of Dean's signature grins. Just talk, yeah. Just talk, huh? Well, I supposed if talking isn't enough, we could do something else with our mouths. I laughed, and a lot of my worries fell away right then and there. He leaned down and gave me a quick hug before holding me gently at arm's length. Everything will be fine, Dave. But if it ever bothers you, you know where I'll be. You know how I am. I don't think for a second that I'm not looking out for you, all right? Promise. With another nod, he was gone. A faint fluttering in my chest made me feel warm and comforted. But with my mind at ease, fatigue hit me hard, and I turned in for the night. Okay. Seems reasonable. Seems reasonable. So that was day 3, I guess. It was neat. Kind of liked it. Got to explore. Got to know a bit of the characters a bit more. Kind of liked it. But see you around, everyone. We'll get back to this eventually.